Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and another video. If you are new here, my name is Nicole and welcome. So today we are going to be doing our February reading wrap up. Also, yes, the shelves are looking a little bit different. I have pulled out a whole heap of fantasy books that I've just decided to unhaul because I wanted another shelf for my contemporary. So I got an extra shelf down here. So yes, the shelves have changed. No, there is no video. I did not film it. But yes, there are some empty gaps, and that's because a lot of the books that I have read in February are gonna go and live in this gap. So that's why there's some spaces. I'm woefully unprepared for this video. Full disclosure, it's gonna be chaos. Let's just get into this video. The first book that I picked up was Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. This was a book that I believe was on my January TBR, and I got halfway through it on the 31st of January and obviously just finished it off in February. I rated this book, I don't even remember, like my brain is not braining today. 3 stars. This book I attempted to read, I don't think it was last year, but I think it was in 2023, and I got like 30 pages into this and just wasn't loving it. It was like a possible DNF, and I put this one on my 25 books that I want to read in 2025. Basically told myself that if I don't like it, I'm just going to officially DNF it. So I wanted to actually get this one read. But basically we focus on our main character, Delilah Green. She's estranged from her family. Her mum died. Her dad then remarried when she was a child. Dad then passed away, so she's got a stepmom and a stepsister, and she never really felt a part of their family, and like they liked her, wanted her to be a part of the family. They just looked after her because there was literally nobody else to look after her. So second she turned like 18, school finished, she was out of there to New York. She is into photography. She is also queer. Her stepsister Astrid is getting married, and she has been offered the job and the role to come back and do it. It's a lot of money, and it's a struggling photographer. She needs it, so she ends up coming back to the town that she hates, that she grew up in, to participate in all of these bridal events because Astrid wants photos from the entire thing. And whilst there, she runs into Claire, who is a single mother, also queer, who is Astrid's best friend. So they have a lot of run-ins because she's one of the bridesmaids, she's the photographer. Basically just about, I guess, them sort of developing a relationship, Claire balancing being a working single mother. The father of her like teenage daughter has come back into her life. He's been pretty like hit and miss. Like he'll come and be like, yes, I want to have a go and be a dad. So the daughter gets really attached to him, and then he bails because it's too hard for him because they're like 18 or something when they had the daughter. So he wasn't ready to be a dad, and obviously their relationship fell apart. Also a big part of the plot is trying to get Astrid to realize that she is dating a douche canoe. Thank God she worked that out because I hated him. Look, this book was okay. Like I genuinely like don't remember a lot of the things that happened in this book. It started out pretty good, and then I just kind of got over it in the middle. But yeah, for the most part, like it was okay. It was a 3-star read. At this stage, I don't think I would continue reading the other 2 books in this, I guess, little interconnected standalone series, but I am glad that I finally read it as well, and it's like another book to tick off on my 25 books to read in 2025. Okay, so the second book that I read was Collide by Bal Cabra. This book I was excited to read because it was like, it's a sports college romance, and I thought it was going to be really interesting. I rated it 3 stars as well. I don't think sports college romances are for me. I've read like 2 now, that's not many, but neither of them I've really loved. We focus on Summer and Aiden. So Summer and Aiden both go to the same college. Summer is starting to be like a sports psychologist, and she absolutely hates hockey, and basically she's trying to get into this really prestigious almost program, I think, that she needs to be in at this certain college to really get her foot in the door and be able to go down the path that she wants to go down. And in order for her to do that, she basically has to write a paper and submit it. The professor who's like mentoring her tells her that she has to do it on the hockey team, and they've lined someone up, and that person they've lined up is Aiden, who is the captain of the ice hockey team. His team have been doing a lot of pranks, throwing a lot of parties, and the coach is just over it. They do a party and he blows up because something bad happens that I don't remember, and Aiden basically takes the fall for it even though he wasn't responsible. And his punishment is basically that he has to do this paper with Summer and be like, I guess, her guinea pig and her test subject for whatever it is she's studying. And she's so mad about it, but he, like, you know, starts to develop feelings for her and stuff, and, you know, same for her. I absolutely loathed the ending. I hated that epilogue. it was just, you know, when they fast forward, they're married with children. I just hate when books do that. I don't like that anymore. And I kind of wish that hadn't happened. Like I said, I rated it 3 stars, and at this stage, I have absolutely no interest in picking up the sequel Spiral because I didn't really care for the characters. I didn't find Summer or Aiden all that likable. Yeah, there's not much I can say except I did not enjoy it, really, but I still gave it 3 stars. And then the third book that I read in February, which was my absolute favorite book out of all the ones that I read, was Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. Let's get started. This was an automatic 5-star read. Are we surprised? No. I absolutely adored this book. If you are not in the know, Deep End is the most recent Ali Hazelwood book that came out. I do think that this is probably my second favorite Ali Hazelwood novel. I just absolutely loved Scarlett and Lucas. This book was so good. This was definitely a return to form for Ali. I thought this book was gonna be spicier because it sort of was meant to, I guess the way it was marketed was that it touched a little bit on BDSM. And if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. I'm very naive about all of that stuff except for what I read in books. But I kind of thought that it was going to be a little bit more than it was, which I think is what a lot of people also felt as well. But I did really love that we were kind of back in the STEM world. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. Probably should explain what the book's about. So we focus on Scarlett, who is our female main character. She is a professional diver and she had an accident, I think nearly 2 years ago, and she's really struggling with forming this particular dive move because that was the one that she had when she injured herself. So she's got a very big mental block. She's not very close to the other people in her diving team just because she's a little bit awkward, but she is also a STEM student. We also did have a little feature of 2 characters. I'm not going to say who because I don't give any spoilers in case anyone's not picked it up, and I would be devastated if I spoiled this for anyone. But there was a squeal that I let out when I discovered who the little feature was. It's quite a brilliant feature. It's more than a feature. I really loved the way that it was, you know, involved and just squealed. I loved it. Thank you for the update, Ali. It was fantastic. But she's a STEM student and Lucas is also a STEM student. He's also the captain of the swim team and he's dating another one. I guess the captain of the divers. Is that right? I don't remember. But anyway, they kind of break up, but they don't want anyone to know because they're like the golden couple. So they sort of pretend that they're still dating. The captain of the diving team basically lets out that, you know, both Scarlett and Lucas to one another are into like the same sort of kinky shit and that they should do their kinky shit together because she's more a vanilla kind of gal and wasn't into all of the stuff that he was into. And so they kind of decide that they're going to engage in this sort of sexual relationship together. There was this long list of all the kinky shit they were going to do and we didn't get any of the kinky shit. Kind of thought it was going to happen. Like, yes, the dirty talk and the spice was definitely here, but I thought it was going to be more than it was. I'm not mad that it wasn't, but I definitely thought that there was going to be a little bit more than what we got. But either way, loved it. 5 stars. Do think it's probably my second favorite Ali Hazelwood novel. I definitely adored this and like read it so quickly to a point that I feel like I just need to read it again, but it was fantastic and I loved it. The 4th book I actually picked up was Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett. Now, I didn't realize that I actually got an early copy of this, so I don't know if this happened in any other countries or if it was just in Australia, but for some reason, copies of this book wound up on shelves weeks before the book was actually released. I had no idea that this was a thing up until after I had filmed my February TBR, and I had people in my comments asking me, like, how did you get a copy so soon? I was just fortunate enough, I guess, in a way. The bookstore that I get my books from, they had a copy of this and I just picked it up because I was like, oh, fantastic. This is one of the books I want to get this year. So I bought it, not realizing that I had it weeks before it was released. But anyway, I did rate this one 3 stars as well. For anyone that doesn't know, this is the 3rd book in this Emily Wilde series. I have absolutely no idea if this is the 3rd and final book in the series. Some people are saying it is. I was a little bit disappointed with it. This one was lacking for me, especially with the characters. I've realized that my favorite characters were Rose and Ariana. And the fact that they weren't in this book made me kind of not really care about this book, in all honesty. So yeah, this just continues on the story of our scholar, Emily Wilde, and her partner, Wendell. In this one, we're going to the fairy realm and we're getting to explore a particular character's kingdom. I'm not going to say who because spoilers. I just found it lacking. Like, there was this whole story on an old king and some snails, and honestly I just didn't care for it. I felt like it dragged on. There was too much with the old old queen that we thought we'd killed in the previous book who wasn't dead. And honestly, it was just too much and I just didn't care for it. I found it dull. And like I said, without having Rose and Ariana there, I was like, this book is just, I don't care. To be honest, I don't care. I'm very much like, I don't know if I would pick up a fourth book if there was a fourth book. The books are stunning. That's half the reason why I picked them up. I don't really care for it. But yeah, I'm so on the fence as to whether I would read another book in this series, but like it was just very meh for me. I wish I enjoyed them more than I did, but I just didn't. This one wasn't for me. Anyway, that's just my little gripe with it. And then book 5 was my second favorite book of the month, and that was First Time Caller by B.K. Borison, which was one of my anticipated reads for 2025. And it's a brand new series by her called Heartstrings. Heartstrings is the name of the radio station in Baltimore. So 3 books in this series, but this one focuses on our main character, Aiden and Lucy. Aiden is the radio host at Heartstrings. Well, not Heartstrings. Heartstrings isn't the name of the radio station, sorry. It's the name of like his segment that he does. He's a bit more of like the romance part late at night on the radio station in Baltimore. He's a bit disillusioned with love at the moment, and he's just found that like loving people just means that they have the ability to hurt you, whether that's intentionally or not. And then our other main character is Lucy. She is a single mother who has a teenage daughter and the most beautiful co-parenting agreement that I think I have ever seen. Basically, Lucy and the father of her daughter, I can't remember his name, they've like known each other since they were kids and were sort of dating and fell pregnant. Turns out that he's actually queer and ends up being married to another man, and they buy houses next to one another so that their daughter always has mum and dad near them, and they just have such a beautiful co-parenting relationship. They're so invested in each other's lives. They have family dinners together, and Lucy and the husband of the father, they have such a gorgeous relationship, a great friendship, and it was just really nice to see parents who have split in such a beautiful, loving co-parenting relationship for their child. Their daughter calls up Heartstrings and speaks to Aiden about the fact that her mum's single, thinks she's lonely, she's never been really on very many dates, and is just, you know, all about her daughter, but she's like, I want mum to fall in love because I think she's lonely because Lucy is a mechanic. And she ends up speaking to Aiden because her daughter called him like in the middle of the night. She's like, who the hell is this grown-ass man speaking to my teenage daughter? And everyone literally falls in love with Lucy, and they get her on as like a bit of a temporary permanent spot on Heartstrings to try and find her man, and it's all about her dating. She's on the show a couple nights a week with Aiden. Aiden and Lucy end up falling in love with one another, and it's really sweet. I did rate this 4.5 stars. I will be honest, I loved this up until Lucy and Aiden got together, and then it started to fall flat for me. I don't know if I've just read a little bit too many romances, and I'm just a little bit over it because it happened in a couple of other books to me. Was loving it, and then they got together, and then I got bored with it, and then we had the 3rd act breakup, which, guys, I'm so over that. I did really enjoy it. I'm excited to see more of this world. It was great. I had a fantastic time with it, and I'm so glad I got to read this book. And then book 6 that I picked up was Flawless by Elsie Silver. This is the first Elsie Silver novel that I've picked up. It's also the first book in the Chestnut Spring series, which is a cowboy romance, I guess. I'm gonna be honest. This book did not give cowboy vibes to me. And that's because our main character, Rhett, he's not really a cowboy. Like, some of you are probably going to argue that with me, but when I think cowboy, I think working on the ranch. You could say he is a cowboy, but he didn't give cowboy vibes to me. And that's because he's like a bull rider. His family also doesn't support it, but he's basically really famous in the bull riding circuit. He's kind of the champion at the moment, but he makes some comments that upset a lot of people who frankly need to grow up and get over it. And that was literally the comment that he made, was that he hates milk. The problem is that he does have a dairy endorsement, and I think he said that he fucking hates milk, which I don't understand why it was such a big blow up to me. It just all seemed a little bit ridiculous. He loses sponsorships. He also punches out a reporter who's harassing him. So his PR team goes into crisis, and he's got a couple more bull riding competitions that he needs to complete for the year before they can kind of like, I guess, get him to disappear and let all of this calm down. But a lot of people are upset about it. So in steps Summer, who is the daughter of the owner of the PR company. And she basically has to move in with Rhett to keep an eye on him to make sure that he's not being a naughty boy. And obviously they start to develop feelings for one another. She ends up moving onto the ranch that Rhett and his family live on. This was a 3.5-star read for me. I did enjoy reading it for the most part. The banter was really good between Summer and Rhett. Once again, they got together, kind of didn't care about the story. Once again, another kind of pathetic third act breakup that I just didn't care for. I can see why everybody really enjoys this series. It was super easy to read. Elsie Silver, like, her writing is so simple and easy, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It was so easy just to sit down, read this book and get invested and complete it. It didn't feel like it was dragging on. An easy read. The chapters weren't super long. It was like exactly what I needed when I picked it up, which I do truly appreciate. I do want to continue on the series, I will say that. That's what I really have to say about Flawless. I hope the other books have a little bit more cowboy vibes, because that's what I was expecting. This was a little bit less on the cowboy. Book 7, which was the final physical book that I read, was Not in My Book by Katie Holt. This was a 4-star read for me. We focus on our main characters, Rosie and Aiden, and they are both budding authors. They attend the same college and they're in the same writing classes, and they butt heads so frequently to a point that their professor is sick of it, and she basically tells them that they need to leave her class, which Rosie's devastated, and she's like, we'll do anything, like, we're so sorry. And the professor turns around and says, in order to stay in my class, the two of you have to write a novel together and you have to merge your two genres. Rosie is a romance author, Aiden is fiction writer. So they have to get together and basically write a chapter each. In the process, they get to know one another a lot better. They try to work out how they got to the point where they're at and why Aiden doesn't seem to like her. I must say, I really, really enjoyed this novel. I thought it was really well written. Loved the story, and like before every chapter started, you had a chapter of the novel that Aiden and Rosie were writing together, which was really cool, and I love seeing that. Low-key want to read that book. I know a lot of the stuff that they were writing about and putting in the book was based off their own interactions. The book focuses on like a workplace enemies to lovers trope, and they would go on dates and stuff to get inspiration, and they would write about the dates that they went on in the book and make it the characters of their story. Again, was loving this up until they got together, and then I got a little bit over it. There was one thing that I did guess was going to happen, was that there was this like writing scholarship that Rosie was applying for, and basically if she won the scholarship, it would mean that she would have money to go to college. Instead of being a part-time student, she could be a full-time student, and I guess what was going to happen with that in like 10 seconds. But yeah, once they got together, turned me off the book a little bit. Once again, third act breakup, did not enjoy it. Can we stop that, please? Overall, 4-star read, had a great time with it, and I would pick up another book by Katie Holt if she brings out any others in the future. And then the 8th and final book that I picked up was an ebook called Loving the Ladies' Man. I just read this because I didn't want to pick up another paperback, because I don't like going into a new month with a book that I started in the previous month. I don't know if anyone else is like that. And this ebook that I found was just one that I already had on my iPad. I didn't even know I had it. And that was called Loving the Ladies' Man by Kristen Canary. This was terrible. It was like 150-ish pages, if that, of utter nonsense. We focus on two main characters who are also in the publishing world, so that's probably why I downloaded this. The male main character, I can't think of their name, so I do apologize. He is like head of marketing, and then we have our female main character who's head of editing. Their boss decides that she needs someone to help her out, so she's making a whole new role, and the two of them are up to get this job. They end up dating very quickly. She gets the job, turns it down because of him, but then he gets offered the job, so he accepts it. She's devastated. I just hated the way it was written. I hated the characters, and genuinely don't know why I read it other than just to get another book under my belt. Wouldn't read any of the other books in this series. It felt so incomplete. Like there was no development of anything. It was just words on a screen given to us, and I don't think it was very good. Did not enjoy it. It's not inspired me to pick up anything else by this author, so I won't be. But yeah, did not rate it, don't recommend. Apologies to anyone who's read it or any of the author's other books and liked them. terrible not for me. Alrighty guys, so they are the 8 books that I read in February of this year. I must say, I read all of the books on my TBR, which is super exciting, but I hope you guys have enjoyed this one, and I will see you next time for another video. Bye!